Hello, and welcome to Superbwoman Sundays at 7. I'm your host, Janet Neal, and I am thrilled that you're with us this evening. We have a very fun show tonight, very informative and motivational one with my friend Kathleen Taylor. But before we get to Kathleen, let me tell you a little bit about the Superbwoman and why we have these shows. I know some of you have heard this before, but I think it bears repeating. I believe that women are powerful beings and women can change this world. I also know that there are many women who do not believe this, or they do not hold on to their power. They give it away, a lot of times without really realizing it. And my intention is to be able to show you women who have stepped into their power because they have taken the time to be, not just do. That they have taken the time to understand who they are, what their strengths are, their passions, their values, and have crafted and are living a powerful life as a result. That's my intention, and I want to show you their stories because I want you to be able to do the same. We all need that positive energy. And I just want to give a little shout out to Carol Hyatt for an amazing weekend I just came off of, where Carol put together a workshop called Getting to Next, actually Mission Getting to Next, because she put together executive women and retired military officers, female military officers, who aren't quite sure how to integrate back into civilian life. And I was working with these amazingly powerful women all weekend long, and I'm so grateful to have been a part of that. If you're interested, please go to Carol's website, Carol Hyatt, it's Carol with an E, Hyatt, HYATT.com, and you can learn all about it. And you can also go back to the YouTube videos and see my interview with Carol just a couple weeks ago. But not to be outdone, this week we have yet another powerful woman. Kathleen Taylor is indeed a superb woman, and Kathleen and I are friends. We have mutual friends, and she is just one of those people who brightens up the room. She makes you feel good, and she is all about spreading kindness into the world. Kathleen is an LCSW, a social worker. I think she'll correct me on that one. And she was a hospital chaplain. But most recently, Kathleen has devoted herself to this notion of bringing kindness into the world by starting an organization called Radical Kindness. And so we're going to hear more about that now. Kathleen, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Janet, and thank you so much for having me on. I'm really honored to be your guest. And I will, for those licensed clinical social workers out there, I am a licensed social worker. I have not yet attained the clinical piece. So,
yes.
They worked very hard for that letter. So, but thank you.
Very good. Well, so Kathleen, I've heard a little bit about it, but tell our viewers about your story.
Well, you know, I came from a family that before it was fashionable to say do the right thing. That's one of the things that was really ingrained into me. And one pretty cool story that I have is that my father told me this story about when he was a kid, and he was walking down the street with my grandfather. Now, this is during the Depression. And for anybody who knows the Depression, it was pretty tough. So he was walking down the street with my grandfather, and there was a gentleman there asking for money, pretty ragged-looking guy, and my grandfather gave him some money, and my father said to him, "Dad, why are you giving this guy money? You know he's just going to go get drunk." My grandfather said to him, "It's my responsibility to give it to him. It's his responsibility what he does with it." So that kind of stuck with me, and a couple of years back, about maybe 10 years ago, I was driving a friend at 6 a.m. God knows why I agreed to a 6 a.m. drop-off at Newark Airport, but I did. And I was heading down Route 21, and there was a woman standing on the street corner asking for money. And at first I went, "Oh, please, don't bother me." And then I thought about the story, my father's story about my grandfather. reached into my pocket, rolled down the window, and I gave her a couple of dollars. And I said, what she does with it is her responsibility. Driving home from Newark Airport, I see her on the side of the road with something from McDonald's and a coffee or whatever she was drinking. And I said, wow, it's my responsibility to give. It's hers. And that was a real rewarding moment where I could actually see the kindness in action, and that my cynicism got turned around.
That's fabulous.
Yeah. So the one thing that really charges me is I just want to talk a little bit about when I was a hospital chaplain and where the notion of the hearts came from. I've got my bowl of hearts here. I was working one day, and there was a code called overhead for a 22-year-old girl had come in, and she'd been hit by a bus. And her mother was there, and her mother was down in the emergency room waiting for her, devastated, absolutely devastated. And Janet, I sat with her for a couple of hours, and after a while, there's not much you can say when you're in the middle of a crisis. And somebody had given me a similar heart that I kept in my pocket as a touchstone. I love to have touchstones. And I thought to myself, you know, she needs something tangible. So I reached into my pocket, I gave her my heart, and I said, look, you hold on to this. I know you can't be with your daughter. Hold on to this. This is yours. It'll help you make the connection. She grabbed that heart, clung to it. It was on her chest, and I could just see her putting all of her healing energy into that heart, which was really going into the emergency room to her daughter. And that moment changed me. You know, this little piece of glass absolutely made a big difference. So I started handing them out to a lot of different people in crisis. By the way, the young girl is doing fabulous. She's recovering. I think she's independent now. She lives. I mean, she's got a few deficits, but I just started handing these out to a lot of different people at the hospital, and then it became progressive. Other people started handing them out, and it's been an amazing experience.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, were you going to say something else?
No, go ahead. I have tons of stories that I can't tell them all. Go ahead.
So how did that transition into this concept of radical kindness, and what does that even mean?
That's a great question. We hear the word radical all the time. See, I'm going to hold on to my heart so I can have something to hold, to touchstone. We hear the word radical, I think, a lot of times, and what do we think of? We think of some negative connotations, but the word radical to me means, well, the real meaning of it is the root of. Okay, so radical for me is being woven, something weaving into the fabric of our lives. You know, you think about somebody who's got some extreme views. They are so gung-ho about spreading that to the world, right? Mm-hmm. What if we took that radical nature, ingrained it into our lives, and brought it out to the world? You know, little bits of kindness, make that part of the. For me, I make sure that I leave the house with hearts in my pocket all the time, even when I'm in a really stinky mood, because it reminds me, make connections with people. So I think that taking the radical, meaning weaving it into your life, making it so that it makes a difference in the world. And by the way, it's not just about the hearts. You know, it's not about giving people something. I think for me, it's more of that general intentionality about being kind. What opportunities can I look for? I saw a gentleman in a store do something really nice one day. He let somebody go in front of him. It's a long story. I won't go into it. And I didn't have any hearts with me. And I said to him, I said, that was a very kind thing that you just did. Thank you. It was giving him a winning lottery ticket. He was so, because I had acknowledged and validated his kindness, you know, it changed him. It changed him in some way. I could feel it. But, you know, the radical piece of it, weave it into your life.
I love that. All right. So you're weaving this kindness into your life, and it sounds like the other piece of this is that you are reinforcing you're reinforcing this positive behavior by thanking people for the kindness that they've done. Correct?
Absolutely. I think we don't. Somewhere along the line, and I thought everybody thought this because maybe it was just something that I was, or is that if you tell somebody something good that you've done, it doesn't count. Well, I think it counts no matter what you do. You know, when I tell people my story, there are instances of things that I tell people that, you know, I think to myself, I'm not telling I'm talking about the little daily things in life. And I think we all need to be validated for those things. Find somebody you can buddy up with and become a kindness team. And you can go home and say to someone, hey, you know what? I held the door open for 3 people today. Or I looked them in the eye.
Hold on one second, Kathleen. We kind of lost you for a second there. So I was just showing everybody your T-shirt, and then let's go back and let's hear your story. But let me just show them the T-shirt here. Kindness is, what is it? The
kindness
foundation of
peace.
That's fabulous. That's fabulous. So I'm sorry, you were talking about a story
I was talking about how I think looking for opportunities for kindness and talking about them, being validated for them.
Correct.
We all need validation, and it feels good to do good. You know, it really does. It feels good to do good. And for somebody to pat you on the back and say, that was a really nice thing to do. Find somebody that you want to maybe make a commitment with. We're gonna do some nice things for people. It doesn't have to be building a house. You know, yeah, that'd be great, but it's not going to always happen. You know, the big things. It's really the little things that I find are making differences in people's lives. You know, people the other day told me I look great in blue. I was thank you. I mean, it brightened my day. So here I am in blue.
Very nice. Well, you know, I know that you've taken this internationally as well. I remember you telling stories about being in Paris and handing out your hearts there. Do you have some stories there to share?
Yeah, and in light of what has just recently happened in Paris, this is a pretty interesting story. So I was sitting on the metro, and there was a woman across from me, a black woman, and a black man sitting next to her with a child that, you know, when they fall asleep anywhere, they're out. And so this kid was not stirring much. And I just saw how precious this family looked. And I looked over at the woman, and I just sort of, she didn't speak, you know, I don't believe she spoke English. I sort of clutched my heart and looked at her, and she sort of smiled. Reached into my pocket, I walked over, I only had one heart with me, and I gave it to her. And she looked at me a little strange. Now, she was in garb. She had headdress on, headscarf. And I just said, you know, the baby, you. And so I sat down again. And she looked at it and showed it to the man. And again, the expression on her face. So I came home, and I told someone the story. And he said, Kathleen, you don't realize what you really did there. Now, previous to this incident in Paris, the terrorist incident, there was a big outcry that Muslims should not be allowed to wear their headdress in public. Right. So he said to me, people are probably looking down on her all day, making derogatory comments, and here you are on the subway handing her a heart. What did that do for her, you know?
Right. So, beautiful. Beautiful.
Because you never know what your kindness is going to do down the road.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
I said to someone one time, Janet, I said, so what do you think about this, you know, this thing? And she said, well, I saw you give it to that guy over there, and he just left it on the stairs. And I said, oh, good. She didn't quite get it. I said, the person that needs it is going to find it.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. So, Kathleen, what do you hope to do with this organization? Why did you found an organization around this?
Well, it's an LLC, so I'm in the process of writing a book about my experiences. I can't really, I would be here for 2 hours more talking about it. My passion is really to get out there and help the world feel better about themselves by doing good things, because it really does feel great. I've said that a bunch of times, but not to be redundant. So part of it is writing the book, and hopefully from that, not hopefully, from that, do some motivational speaking and get the idea about how being kind changes everybody in the picture. Now, the other piece of it is, we've got the T-shirts. Why am I doing that? So when I go around handing out hearts, people say to me all the time, that's such a great idea. How can I do that? Well, 30 of these weigh a pound.
Oh.
I say to people, it's a little tough to do exactly this. So I'm encouraging people to find their own, what I'm calling this is my trademark, it's my kind mark, and to become kinder. Become a kinder. So hopefully, I'm sorry, I lost my train for a second. So with the T-shirts, we're going to try and do some apparel, because people also say to me, we need to hear this message. You know, we need to see this more. We need people to get this out there.
Yeah, kind of like walking billboards with these kindness shirts on.
Yeah, and it helped. And so I saw somebody that I gave one to, and he said to me, I wore your T-shirt to the gym, and he said, this one guy stopped me and couldn't stop talking about how fabulous it was. And I hear that walking through an airport. I hear, great message, great shirt. So we'll see where it goes. It's all part of the whole package, and you know, we're really in a very early stage of development, looking for, you know, designers, looking for all that sort of thing. So it's exciting. I'm really excited about it.
Oh, well, I'm excited for you. It's a great idea. I just want to remind our viewers out there that if you have any questions for Kathleen, to go ahead and type those in, and I will be glad to ask her, or tweet them to me at the Superbwoman. Another question for you, Kathleen.
Yes.
Is you talked about your father and your grandfather helping you kind of get this mindset of giving, but who else has helped you on your path?
There are really 3 people that I can think of that have really inspired me and given me some encouragement along the way. So let me just preface this by saying, in the 1960s, there wasn't a whole lot of, I was the unsettled kid that they'd put in the back of the room in school. You know, I was the class clown. Nobody knew anything about ADD or anything like that, so I was just a pain in the neck. And school was very difficult for me, but I had 3 teachers along the way that were really monumental to me. One was my very first band director. He put a trumpet in my hand, and he said, if you work hard to develop your skills, you're turning that, and it turned into my passion. And he encouraged me so much. I just recently had a get-together with him with another friend of mine from high school. It was fabulous. Really, and he just had such great values and such work ethic, and very kind and compassionate, Mr. Slonim, Robert Slonim. The next one was another teacher of mine. She was the assistant softball coach in high school. I had an unsettling incident with a member of the team, and I was ready to quit. I went to her and said, Mrs. B, I just can't do it. You know, I'm very upset. I'm 16, 17. And she said, you don't quit. You take your pride and you take your dignity, you go back on that field, and you play your heart out. So she taught me not to quit. She taught me that you face adversity and you go through it with dignity. And the last person is really I don't even call her my guardian angel. She's my guardian saint. Sister Ann Gertrude is a professor that I had when I was at the College of St. Elizabeth. Hadn't been a great student, and this woman saw that I learned differently. She understood that I learned differently. We didn't have any kind of tags or anything, thankfully, but she saw that I learned differently, and she encouraged me in so many ways. She became my personal friend after I graduated. Everybody was afraid of her all the time because she was very stern and rough, tough cream puff. So Sister Ann Gertrude, she absolutely changed my life, absolutely, and yeah. That might have been one of the turning points in my life as well, because there was a time when this kid who really didn't do well in school, who this kid being me, of course, doing well, didn't do all that well in school, and got to a place where I was given encouragement, I was given confidence, or my confidence was built up, and I think that is one of the things that has helped me to evolve as a person who, I walk up to people all the time. People call me the mayor. I'm able to walk and work a room, so I'm not afraid to walk up to somebody in Walgreens and say, hey, I'd like to give you this just to remind you that you're loved. I mean, I stop people dead cold on the street sometimes. That was the confidence that was instilled in me. That this is going to sound like the thing from Saturday Night Live, but Kathleen, you're good enough. And by golly, people like you. So thanks to the Sisters of Charity and for the educators that really helped me put it together and move forward.
Oh, that's fabulous. Yeah, I always say, we can't do it by ourselves, and you've just given a beautiful testament to those teachers. So grateful that you were able to hear their message and that they were able to touch you, because you've been doing beautiful things for other people. So thank you for that.
I had a great incident the other day in the drugstore. I was standing in line, and the kid behind the register had just broken up with his girlfriend. 17. He looked terrible. Must have been. So I gave him a heart, and the woman standing next to me looked, and I don't just give out one. I usually give out to all the people on the line. And I handed her the heart, and she said to me, before you did that, I knew you were my angel today.
Aww.
And, so I think when you start being intentional and conscious about how to be in the world, and again, Janet, people may be very shy, and they're not going to walk up to people and do these kinds of things. And that's what I want to get across, is that it's not about the heart. It's about that intention, about what opportunity do I have today to compliment somebody on their shoes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Say, what a nice smile you have.
Mm-hmm.
Or if somebody opens the door for you, to say, thank you so much for opening the door, instead of a grunt.
Yeah. Well, you're talking a lot about which seem like simple gestures, but that mean so much. But it's really about being aware, and that's really what in my estimation, a superb woman is a woman who is aware of herself. And in order to be aware of yourself, that's a quality that then kind of translates out there, so that you're aware of your surroundings. And I think you're a wonderful example of being aware of yourself and what works, what doesn't work, and are becoming more and more powerful as a result as you step deeper and deeper into that.
Yeah, this has empowered me. When I look at a turning point in my life, again, I think about when I started to do this on a really consistent basis. I've got about 500 pounds of stones down at hearts in my basement. So if anybody wants some, I'm happy. Give me a call or get in touch. But it's the intentionality. It's looking for the opportunities. It's almost like a meditation throughout the day.
Right, it totally is.
Another just quick. I was at Costco during the summer. I see this woman struggling to get one. The big pools, the plastic pools for your kids, and it was hot, struggling to get it into the back of her SUV, and it probably took me 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes. Parked my car, got out, said, here, I'll help you. We folded it, we put it in her car. Now, it took no time for me to do that. Took maybe, let's say, 5 minutes out of my day, right? But it probably meant an awful lot to her.
Right, right. So Kathleen, how can people share these stories? Because every story you tell, I'm like, oh, and it makes me feel good to hear the stories. So how can people share these stories? Do you have some sort of a vehicle to do that yet?
Well, I encourage people, if anybody, send me an email with your story. There's a form on my website, www. We don't really do that anymore, do we? The www. Anyway, radicalkindness.com. Tweet me, it's at radkind1, and I'll be happy to tell the stories. I love telling the stories because they mean so much, And,
Yeah.
you know, it's that one encounter, Janet. It's hard to explain that moment. It's like a sacred moment when I hand somebody a heart, and even if they don't quite get it, there's this flash, and I can't describe what it is, but there's this flash, this instant of connection. And it doesn't go any further than that, you know. I don't, but it's so profound, it's almost unexplainable. But people, you know, but there's a way to explain it for what it does for you. Tell me your stories. I'd love to hear your stories. You know, I don't want to just write about my stories in the book. I want to tell everybody's story, because being kind is everybody's story.
Oh, very nice. That's a very nice statement. Hey,
Yeah.
let me shift gears for 1 second, slightly, because I want to go back to the questions that I ask all of my superb woman friends, and one of them is, you know, we talk about shoulds, and shoulds being the things that hold you back, that contain the guilt. And so share with us, if you will, you know, one of the shoulds that you have released in your life.
Oh, yeah. So I would really say that the biggest should that I released was that everybody should like me, approve of me, and appreciate what I'm doing. What it comes down to is that what I have finally, after however many years old I am,
Not that that matters.
55, oh come on. So if you don't like me and don't want to be my friend, that's okay. It's okay. Just don't hurt me. You know, if you don't want to associate with me or you don't approve of what I'm doing, that's okay. You can express your opinion. Just don't hurt me. It's okay if you don't like me. Really, really, truly is. Because I know who I am. I know what I'm bringing to the world. And, you know, this passion that I have, if it's not your gig, it's not your gig. It's okay. So that's one of the shoulds.
Still be kind, even though.
Yeah. Well, what are you going to do? Not everybody's going to like you.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I mean, there are many people who go through an entire lifetime without letting go of that should. That's a big one. So
yeah.
That's a good one. Great lesson. So Kathleen, what is next? So you've got your book that you're working on. What else is coming up in the horizon for you?
Well, I actually have a few motivational speaking engagements, which I'm pretty happy about.
Excellent.
And, yeah, yep. And really,
are these open to the public, or are they private?
Oh, no, they're for facilities.
Okay.
Some of my social work connections got me a few gigs.
Okay.
And you know, I have a lot of hopes and dreams about really taking radical kindness to another level, where it's more than just a phrase. It's more than just a saying. I'm developing a program for all different age groups: schools, adults, seniors, veterans. You were speaking about the veterans.
Right.
Just about bringing the awareness, and let's see how we can, you know, not anti-bullying, pro-kindness. Can we do that? Can we not focus on the negative part of it and empower kids to be kind?
Oh, I love that.
One of the ideas for a T-shirt, and again, it's not about the shirts, it's not about, but it's fun. That's the fun part of what I'm doing, is having a guy stand there like this, you know, a tattooed guy with "Get Radical, Be Kind" on his arms, tattooed. Let kids know it's okay to be. You can be kind. It's okay. You know, so that's one of the messages that I really hope to get out, and through the motivational speaking and you know, other opportunities, and we'll see where it goes. I'm pretty confident that it's going to go where it's supposed to go.
Absolutely. Well, you are an inspirational leader of this, and I want to thank you for the hearts that you've given me and my family, and thank you for all the kindness that you have shown to me personally, and thank you for all of the kindness that you're spreading out there, because we all need that positive energy.
Thank you, and thank you for this opportunity. It's fabulous, and what you empowering women, what you're doing, rock it, baby.
Thanks, Kathleen.
Thank you, Janet.
Yeah. So thank you all for joining us tonight for another fabulous show. At the end of this on YouTube, you will see a slide where you'll get all of Kathleen's contact information, and also information if you want to find out more about what we do at the Superb Woman. If you know women who need to hear this message of empowerment, reach out to me. We will get you the resources that you need. So next week, my guest is Debbie Silber, who is the Mojo Coach. So that should be another great show. So join us next week on Superb Woman Sundays at 7. And until then, have just a fabulous week.